have any concern, this session, like whatever basically we have gone through, we have covered in last two session, I believe you were not there. First we have covered the database side of automation, and then we have also covered the API automation. Have you gone through those recording, or you have any concern, or
Oh,
like if you have any doubt, maybe you can ask.
yes. Yeah, I went through the API side.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I remember.
You haven't see?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there was anything here that I.
Okay,
Mm,
maybe gone through those recording, and if you do have any concern or questions so far, so please do let me know, so that maybe we can cover those concerns to the next session as well. Okay, please be revive
uh,
those, because your session, you guys have very less session being left now. I believe I'm in today's session, I'm going to cover UiPath data services, and tomorrow we'll cover UiPath apps. Okay, and then we having most probably two more sessions, UiPath document understanding and AI center and action center as well. Those being covered in 3 to 4 sessions, basically, most probably, but those are going to be a end of the sessions as well. So I would suggest you to go through those recordings that the previous basically we have covered, and try to explore. If you have some concern or any questions regarding that, please do let me know on that, huh?
okay,
All right. So in today's session, it's quite a interesting session today as well. We're going to basically cover today a new topic called UiPath data services. All right. So let me first show you what before starting, let me just show you like what it is, and the data services, how it come into the picture, and what is meant to be, where we're going to utilize these things. Those I will cover, but let me just briefly cover very first that this is one of the services being provided by the UiPath in the basically orchestrator, and it currently present in the UiPath cloud based orchestrator only, not in the on-prem and enterprise basically, which are hosted as on-prem level. Those are there, this service is not present. This is only available in the cloud-based orchestrator. Okay, and how you can access that service? If you go to the orchestrator in your basically cloud.uipath.com portal, yeah, there you do have multiple services being present, like you have orchestrator, you do have studio, you do have actions, admin, and all those things. Try to see that at the bottom, if you do have the data services being enabled over here. If that is not enabled, go to first of all your admin section. Okay, and in the admin section, try to see that what are the services basically being enabled in this in your tenant basically. So how you can see that, we go to the robot services, and here you can try to see like whether it is being there or not. So data services unit is basically by default showing over here, but it's not enabled to this tenant. So to enable this tenant, we need to select the tenant, and we need to go to the add services, and here we just need to select that service so that it will be able to populate to the portal as well, right? So I just basically what I did, I just go to the cloud.uipath.com, and then basically go to the admin section, select your tenant folder, basically what you have created, and that tenant, you having an option over here at the top called add services. Just select that. Once you select that, you will find that the data services option over there, just enable it. So that once you click on add, it will get added there. Now the thing is that it is basically data service unit, it providing you currently in a community license. We having a one unit only. One unit will provide you a lot of space, but as a moving ahead, like if you are working in a database data service, you are utilizing in an enterprise project where basically you require a lot of storage section. So it might be that time it won't sufficient, that one unit is won't be sufficient for your enterprise project level. So that time those need to be changed, but very basic level to understand these things. To enable that, you just need to enable a service, and by default it will come up with one unit. One unit will provide you a lot of basically you can say storage capability and all those things. And once you click on the data service basically, so it will looks like the UI like this, it will populating over here. And now I'll basically cover the what this data service is. Before coming to the data service, I just would like to show you like what is this service and how you can access that service to the orchestral level, so that you can understand that where it is present. Now let's talk about, first of all, why data service. So far we understood that we having a if you would like to store some relational database or relational data, we need a database, right? So far we have already seen that if we have in our last session I have shown to you example as Excel as a database, where we were using Excel data as a database, we are utilizing that and we were automating that as a database. Similarly, that we can treat it as SQL or Azure database, like a MongoDB database. Those are also a some database provider which are helping us to store our persistent data, right? Or a relational based data. Now, MongoDB is kind of a NoSQL database where basically we cannot store some relational database. It's because it's kind of a in a textual or JSON format, it store the data. But mostly like the data which we have in relational database like Oracle DB or SQL or PostgreSQL, those are the basically relational databases which are providing us to store the data in a tabular format, and those tabular format having also relation, one table having a relation to the another table as well. That we already know. Like if you guys having some understanding toward the database side, so you guys know like if you having two tables in a database, let's suppose employee and his let's suppose designation table, or maybe if I would say there is a employee table, and then there is a basically department table. So department is quite basically coupled with the employee table, because employee, we wanted to know like this employee XYZ employee belongs to which department. If you would like to know that, so there is a relationship between department and employee table, because some data is being stored in a department, some data is being stored in an employee. Think about this way. Let's suppose you having a employee table where basically the employee personal details is being kept, and then there is a department table where basically the department, what type of department it is, what the function of this department, how many people is being on that department, kind of that basically kind of information if you are storing in another table. So now if I would like to basically map one employee from the employee table and would like to know what department for that employee is basically, so I need to somehow create a relationship between the employee and the department table, right? Agree with me this part? Yes or no?
Uh, yes.
Yeah. So that kind of a relationship basically the relational database providers, right? So that is why the UiPath is come up a solution, instead of basically having a again a separate database to store some data for us in an automation level, and there is basically on a day-to-day time whenever we are dealing with the data. Because as a automation level, if I talk about what at the end we are doing, we are basically bot is required some input data that can be in a form of some digital doc, or maybe PDF, maybe Word document, maybe in a email, something, right? And then at last is basically producing some output, right? So means data is there, right? So if we need to store the data, we needed some storage, maybe a external database, or maybe we can go with some data storage files like maybe Notepad, maybe Excel, maybe Word document, anything, right? But the situation over here, if I think more closely, so in a automation, we need some data storage where basically we can freely can store our data, and can that data being presentable not only to the UiPath. If you think broadly to these things, let's suppose I'll give you example. You are trying to automate a process which at last basically the output is generating, it going to be utilized by this some external application that is not UiPath, that is not RPA. Maybe the Python script is using that data, or maybe the Power BI it's using that data to show the KPIs of the result, right? So if we having some such need basically, so we need some data storage, right? And we can go to the some data storage, basically you can say a location, maybe a external database or maybe Excel file. But again, there is a dependency with those application level, right? Those application level, we having another dependency. Let's suppose tomorrow the version of the databases get changed, we need to upgrade the things from our end as well. Or if you wanted to move from, let's suppose, on-prem, currently if we are using a in-house database, and tomorrow the company needs to basically migrate that data to the Azure or somewhere, then again we need to change the things at our end as well. So to reduce that these challenges, UiPath has come up with their own data storage location in the RPA itself, call it as data services. So this data services is nothing but it's a basically a persistent data storage service, which is basically kind of a no code low code platform it is providing us. And it's a data modeling storage capability it having. Okay. And if I basically, general term, if I talk about, so it provide us the capability to define the relationship with the business objects basically, and store those records in a automation cloud. Why I'm saying the automation cloud? Because currently this service is being present in the UiPath hosted cloud environment only, not in the on-prem or basically the hybrid one. We can only utilize if we having the license of the cloud orchestrator. Otherwise, we won't. Okay. So that is the basically a data service. Over here, what data services does is basically providing us the mechanism, or basically a system where we can store our business objects as a relational data. And that data, those records can be utilized as an input for the another bot, or a output, basically what bot is generating, so that the another in process, maybe the RPA process itself, or maybe another external application which you can think of, like maybe Power BI, maybe Python script, maybe another application, whichever want to take the data, can easily basically handle that data via basically utilizing the UiPath data services API as well. So this data service is not only providing us the storage location where we can store our record, but it also providing extra part over that, basically a API concept of this data services. So not only the RPA project can utilize this data service, but the external applications also basically utilize. If you see that over here, we having a API access over here. So you can see that it providing a API link, something which basically the external application can also basically utilize. Now, as we know that this is the kind of a data service, but what are the things there, right? What are the things being present in the data service? So key component in the data service, basically we having a four key components being present there. One is called entities, one is called field, and another one is called relationship, and the records. Those are very much you guys are already familiar of. If I talk about these entities, so guys, these entities nothing different than the database actual table. You can relate this entity in a data service. The entity is as equivalent as the SQL database table, right? Similarly, the fields basically over here we do have, it's basically as similar as the data table columns. The column basically what we have present in the data table. Similarly, over here in the data service, we do have fields. We are call it as table columns basically, right? Then relationship. Now, as I give you the example already, we can have one or more tables, right? In a database, we can have one or more tables, and there might be a chance that the one table is dependent on another table on the basis of some relationship. There is a parent or child relationship. Maybe there is a, like I gave you the example, employee and department table example. So you can correlate that there is a relationship in between those two tables, right? So that kind of relationship building functionality also this data service provide. Means, let's suppose you have two tables. Entity is nothing but a table basically. In a database terminology, if you think, it's nothing but it's a table. Okay. And this fields is nothing but it's a column of the table. Okay. Column of the table. Now, the relationship, as I am saying, if I have two tables being present, and if I would like to basically create a relationship between those two tables, I can build that as well in data service. Means, if I have two entities being present, and if I wanted to basically create a relationship between one entity to the another, I can do that very easily in basically data services. So it has a type as entities basically having a type called relationship as well. Okay. Then there is another basically thing called records. Records, you guys are already know. Records is nothing like the data what we have, right, in the Excel, like whatever the rows we have in the data. So like the similar, basically the records are nothing, the data basically what we would like to present over there in the persistence layer, right? So that is basically a key components being present there in the data service. Now let's little bit talk about what are the benefits over this data services we do have. So first thing is that it provides us the secured, persisted and accessible storage, right? Why I say that secured, because it is basically secured by the UiPath itself. It is not being hosted to the on-prem, and it is not being basically handled by the company who is basically utilizing that service. It is basically handled by the UiPath itself, because currently is being present in the cloud orchestrator level as well. So it is provided as the security, and it is provided as the persistence layer, means that it provides us the extra capability that we don't need an extra database or a application where we will require to store our data. We can easily store our data in a tabular format, in a relational database, like what we do in a SQL. The similar fashion we can do over here in the data services as well. Then the accessibility of the data is very easy, like in a drag and drop. Previously, if I talk about, if I generally ask you guys, just a second guys. So if I ask you, let's suppose you having a database. Can anybody of you tell me, if you're having a database, let's suppose Excel as a database you guys are utilizing, okay? Now tell me, if you would like to basically read the data from that Excel as a database, what are the steps you need to perform there? Basic steps I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. You have to first open up the Excel spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
create a connection,
Correct.
and then uh,
Right
write
query.
the query, write
Correct.
the query to
Correct. So
reduce it. Yeah,
so many things being there. Basically, you need to do a somehow you also need to be aware of, first of all, very first thing is that how to build a connection with the one source of the database provider, or whatever the database provider you are utilizing in UiPath. You should aware of that, how to build the connection with that. Agree? Yes or no?
yes,
And then second thing, you should also aware of that, how basically you will query the data. You should aware of that query language as well, like whatever basically, if you are using a SQL, then you need to also utilize a structured query language basically there, right? So those kind of mechanism you should be aware of, then only you basically able to interact with there, right? But over here, if you see the benefit, that you don't need to be aware these such things, the connection how you build, because this is you kind of utilizing as a UiPath activities. The activities we are currently using, the same fashion we can utilize those entities, those record via the activity, and we can utilize those basically the table or entity what we have created in the data services. I'll show you the example. Those we have created in the data services can utilize as a data type. Let's suppose you having a, I'll give you the example. Let me just create an entity over here. Very first, you need to create an entity. Let's suppose I create a test entity. Okay, this is my test entity. So once I will create this test entity, what it does, it will basically, this test entity I can utilize as a variable type in my studio. Means till now you understood that the very basic data type, you already know that integer, string, float, decimal, double, right? You already know collection type of data type, dictionary, and all those things. Like the same fashion, you can basically having a one data type again over there in your code called text entity. Now this type of data type you can store your entity data. And this entity is nothing but, if you see that I just created one entity, and if I go inside that, you can see that it is just a tabular format, and it will come up with some default fields. Some default field, it by default come up with itself. We can create our new field as well, but it will come up with some default field via which it can identify when this field is being created, what is the unique reference of this field, what is the when this field is get modified, right? Those are the things being basically it default field it has provided to us. Like the ID, you can see it has provided us the uniqueness so that we can basically uniquely identify each record in the table. Then second field is called created by. Who has created this? Is it Gopal has created or Sadan has created? That is the another basically user information it has provided us. Who basically what is the time of creation of this field? So that is, these are the default field it is providing us, via which we can take or understand that who is doing the modification in the entity, and who has basically created it. What is the user basically who is working on this data service? Those are the information by default being present here. But apart from that, you can create your new field over here by clicking on create new field. Once you click on the create new field over here, you will find that it will provide you the display, the name, and the type, right? So you can create your basically any of the basically field name. Let's suppose I would like to create a name field, so I can create a name as a display name over here. The name is basically again the same, like what it will use as a logical perspective, that is the name basically it has given over here. Then type, it has multiple type being present over here. Let's say text type of data, number type of data if you would like to store, date time type of data if you would like to store in the data service, then yes or no type of data. Let's suppose you having a boolean true or false, that kind of data if you would like to, so that is also you can create. Choice set, I'll come to this part. Choice set is basically kind of if you're having a multiple set of data, if you can choose. Let's suppose you're having a drop down, and in the drop down you may having a like country drop down, and in the country drop down you may have India, you have USA, you have basically Canada. So those are the country drop down being present there, and that you can create it as a choice set. So choice set is a different type of data type where it can have a multiple type of data, or you can say multiple set of data, and the user can select any one of them or multiple of them as well. That is a choice set. Then a file, if you would like to store some file data, that also you can basically have a file type of data type. Relationship, I already told you, like if I would like to basically say that it's a relationship type of data type, so means that this name is going to be having a relationship with another entity. You can see that related entity it is asking me over here. So that is the same similar fashion I just talked that. Let's suppose you having a employee table, this maybe the test entity is nothing but employee, and now we having a department table also being present over there. So if you build the type as relationship, means it is basically saying that this field having a relationship with the another entity, right? That is a relationship type of data type. Then you have a auto number. Auto number means that auto increasing number, means the counter, like first basically one, then next cycle it will next after this, after basically creating the new data to the basically or updating the data to the table or entity, it will auto update the its value. Like if it is one right now, it will increase it by one. Auto number basically that only, like increasing by its own, right? Then over here it is basically enable the role based field access, means who can access your fields. It is again providing a field level security of the data as well. Not only to the basically one level of security, you already see that UiPath is providing to you, like whatever the user having the access to the or data service or maybe the, you can say, orchestrator platform or UiPath platform, that user can only access that. But again, there is one more level of security they have provided, like who can access the field. Let's suppose you having a credential field and you don't wanted to have the access to the other user. So you can enable a role based field access over here. You can provide a specific user to access that field, so that not every user can see that field. Only the user who having the access can only able to see the field basically, right? So that is also a field level access, means it is providing you mechanism. Then starting value means that if you would like to having a some default value, you can basically provide as a starting value here. Those are the things basically it provides. So that once you will create the field, it will populate that field over here. Let me just create it as a text basically and show you how it looks like. So if I save it right now, so you can see that I so far it has provided me some default field like ID created by created time, updated by updated time. But now there is one more field is being created. This is user defined field. This is not system built in field. Whenever you create an entity, couple of fields by default being generated, those are system built in field. but the field basically the user manually define or explicitly define, those being come as default, not as a default field, those are being not as a system built-in field. Okay, those are user defined field. That is a field. Now how you create a data, you can basically populate the data as well manually. Like currently you can see that I just go to the data section over here. Inside the data, you can if see over here we do have add new data. But when I click on the add new data, you can see that it is only giving me one option over here to enter the data for name. So means that the default fields which it has generated for us, there is no basically, we don't need to provide the data to those fields. It will auto generate by itself. Like the id, it will generate by itself. The created time, it will generate by itself. The basically, modified time, it will generate by itself. We just need to provide the data, the fields which we have generated, not others, right? So let's suppose if I create a field as name over here, so you can see that I can save this field as a data. Basically I can save it. Now you can see that the name I can get it, but other field I haven't defined. These are come up by its own, like id being generated by its own. The created by, who has created this, basically it is using my username. When it has created, who has updated this, who has updated, what time it has updated, right? Getting my point? Any concern so far?
Yeah. Yes. So it's basically like a database storage
Hmm.
unit similar to MongoDB, or is it?
No, I won't say this is MongoDB. MongoDB is no SQL database, guys. MongoDB, what it provides is basically allow you to store the data not in a structured form, but in an unstructured format. Currently you are storing the data in a structured format. You having a data in a tabular format only, right? You have some columns, you have some records. So this is a tabular format or structured form of data. So you can say that not, it is providing us the mechanism to store the data as same as SQL or Excel or basically other relational database, basically. So like Oracle or maybe other databases, but not basically MongoDB. MongoDB is a no SQL database, means it's not in a structured format. The data will be stored not in a tabular format, means in a textual form, in a unstructured form. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, as we see that, just a second, guys, I'm getting a one call. I'll Sorry guys, I just got a call basically. So yeah, we were talking about like what are the benefits, and I already shown to you like how it looks like the data and all those things. So reduce the number of variables in your process. How I'm saying that, I'll show you that. Quickly, I'll show you the example, like how we are saying that it will reduce the number of variables in our process. So currently, if I talk about, think about this way. So currently you having a if you think like you having a database, okay, SQL as a database or Excel as a database. Now you having Excel as a database as an example you can take, because you already gone through the example. So think about this. Let's suppose you having a three sheets being present there. How many tables you need to create there? How many variables if you would like to basically store the data? So you need to create three variables, three data tables, and then again you need to create multiple variables to basically, do some data or get some data only that basis, right? Means multiple variables need to be created there. But if I talk about like if the entity itself coming as a variable type for you, you just need to create one variable and you can utilize the entire entity directly. Means everything being present there, you don't need to create again and again a separate type of variable. It's not like that. An entity can be present as a variable type over here in your studio. So I'll show you the example basically quickly, but just basically think of this way, like how it basically reducing the number of variables by basically providing us the entity coming as a in a studio as a type of variable basically. Got it? Then seamlessly access the entities and record documents, means we can easily access all those things. Those are the basically benefit and all those things. Let's basically go through directly some demo side now. So what you wanted to do, I'll show you the first of all the very plain thing what we are going to achieve in this example. Basically we are going to launch the Olympic information, Wikipedia Olympic, basically this site. Let me open it and show you what we exactly doing over here. Just a second. So if I open this URL here and if I change this, Olympic year, maybe let's suppose to this, maybe let's say this happened 2012, or maybe I don't know, near future also it has happened, but I'm just basically giving a hypothetical number over here. So you can see that I have provided a basically a Wikipedia URL for 2012, and I would like to basically fetch over here. If I scroll it down, so I do have basically over here how many countries being present over there, who has hosted the city and that Olympic that time, and what basically the round they do have, and all those detail and extra details being also being present at the bottom. Basically if I scroll it down, so you can see that participating nationals Olympics over here, like we do have Afghanistan, we do have Albania. Every country has participated there in the Olympic, and then there is their medal detail also being present here. So if you scroll it down, you will find everything basically. So we would like to create as an example, basically this example what it does, it will launch the Wikipedia and it will select that particular year, and then it will basically uh, fetch the result for us, like how many Olympic, summary of the Olympic. Basically first of all it will show us, then it will try to find the medals of that particular year, right? It will go to the medal table and fetch the medals from the that particular year, how many medals being generated. Okay, and then it will basically show the medals to us, what country what medal it has got, it will present to us. That we will convert back to the data service example. So let me just show to you now. If I basically close this URL, and let's go to the UiPath back again and just basically go to our design section and let's debug it. So currently I'm giving the basically example as 2012 only, and let's basically run this. So you can see that it has run the URL for us, provided us some summary, like the 2012 Summer Olympic had closing ceremony on 20 August 2012, and then basically it would saying that click OK to see how many medals of each country in the top 10 has won. Means we would like to find like the top 10 countries who has won the medals over there, right? So let's see how it will show us the data back. So now it will fetch the medal table basically first of all, and then it will basically extract the data and present the data to us in the notepad after that, right? So let's see how it works. I think I need to change some selector over here. Okay, so you can see that it has basically started, open the notepad file. Anyhow, I have basically opened so many notepad tab over here. That is why it's not working. I can close and allow my bot to basically work on like this. Just a second. I can close this one. Or maybe I can, uh, just a second. I'll open the notepad so that some selectors are getting changed here. Uh, Let me stop it, rerun it. What selector we are using here? This is basically fine, I believe. Yeah, this is fine. Just a second, I'll see that my edit window selector as well. Okay, this is not working. Let me just have the selector for this. Yeah, now it's fine. This is putting enter over here. Then in the medal table, it again tried to write the data over there. Let me see this selector as well. This will also not work. Let me go to the notepad back again. Okay. And this will put the, basically what it does, it will store everything inside this, this notepad for us. Whatever it has extracted, it will put it there. So let's rerun the process and then see then how we'll convert that to the, data service solution. So we'll see that. Just a second. Yeah, so currently it is asking me the year. Let me just put the year here. It will generate the summary like what the summer has happened and how many countries has participated on that. It has extracted that. So, you can see that it basically start typing the data there, and then at the end 2012 summary Olympic the participating nation had following result. Still it has hiccup. Basically I need to change the the selector of my hotkeys basically. So just a second, I'll re-put it correctly. uh, just a second. Yeah, I just need to change this as this value. Okay, and then this also. Okay, So let me rerun this again. If I open this, you can see that it will basically start typing the data there, and then basically put everything here in the notepad. Still the notepad has hiccup here. Just a second, maybe. Yeah, it looks good to me now. Should have worked. So this is the table basically what it's trying to extract over here. 2012 summary Olympic medal table, and it has basically you can see that the top 10 country also it will populate there, but it will extract first of all the data. So you can see now it try to put out the data there, and then basically it will do the following results. Like currently it's not as expected basically working. Let me see, do we get are we getting the data or not here, right? Let me just put a message box here and see that what we are getting here in the TT Olympic data, I believe it is. Yeah, let's see the rows count of this table, what we are getting here, and then we will basically see it again. Okay. So it try to extract the below table, basically what we've seen over here. Where is that message box? Okay, see, no data is being get generated here. Let me little bit tweak the selectors also, because this web page is getting changed day by day. Yesterday only it was working. Today it is not, because this Wikipedia having some issue. Let me just see that why it's not working. Uh, Wikipedia, Wiki table storage plain header jQuery. Oh, just a second. I'll reopen that URL. Right. Let me see now. Okay, let's do one thing. Let me put a extract table here. Yeah, this will be needed. Just a second. Let me change this. And here maybe let's suppose we change this as well. And this will put it as a year what we are getting there. Okay. We'll replace this part. And one more thing we can see if we having some class here. Yeah, I think it's fine. Let me just save it now. Validate it. Okay. Yeah, I know that why it's not working. Let me just put it validate. Now let's change this part also. Here, let's put it the year value which we are getting in underscore. The argument value which we are getting, that year value. We just need to change that. Here it is basically in year. Let me select it, confirm, then one space basically with this year. And now we can click on OK so that we will get something data out of it, right? And let's see now, let's freshly run it again. These are the tweaks basically we need to do every time. Like UI automation is not that feasible to these Wikipedia sites and all. Yesterday only I took a one more session over there. So that time it was working correctly. Right now it is giving us some issue. Yeah, so you can see that it has extracted 10 records now. Anyway, so now if I show you that the notepad what it's trying to do there, it should basically write the data there in the notepad. Let's see. There are some hiccups with this notepad side as well. Yeah, it's basically not able to open application notepad. Untitled timeout is it's saying, because even though it has open already, but it's saying that it's not able to open. Let me just check that part once again. What it is generating here. If I validate this, yeah, it's fine. Maybe timeout we can increase little bit over here, right? Let's see. Okay. The main motto is not to show this process. I would like to convert this process to the, show to you guys like how we'll generate the data service out of it. Okay. Yeah, now it will basically start typing. All right. Okay, currently it is not working, but what the main motto over here, total, does not belong to the table. It basically it's saying it anyway. It is, we just need to basically, remove this part, and let me just do one thing. Instead of doing in the notepad, let me just basically put it inside the right range and show to you like how the data looks like, and that data we will going to anyhow going to write the data in the data service. Okay, so let me just change little bit in the code. here, let's say not this one, maybe, yeah, I'll give this Olympic data. Dot XLSX maybe, right? And here we can give the our data out data what we are getting over there, or Olympic data table basically. Okay, so let me just write it down so that I can show you. Let's enable this. This time we are not going to put it inside the notepad. We are just going to basically launch the application, get the data and write that data back to the Excel file. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now we have the data being ready. Everything looks good. Let me show you the data. So you can see that now what basically the data we do have over here. We do have gold. We do have basically how many tables basically how many medals the each country has generated, and the rank total wise as well, like first, second, third, like this way. The thing is that currently we are storing it in a tabular format only. We are getting the data and we are storing it in a Excel file. The requirement is basically we would like to change this data to the data table. Maybe let's suppose we would like to store this data in a data table, not in a data table. We would like to store in a data services. So currently you can think of there are three entities we do have. One is the medal entity, right? The first is Olympic table, like which year we were running it, right? Then second is the country table, or you can say country entity, which country it is. And in the country, you can say that country having a relationship with the medal table, because medal we can say how many gold we will get it, how many silver we will get it, how many bronze we will get it. But anyhow, number of basically countries, or which country it has, which country won which medal, we can basically map it accordingly. So medal and country having a relationship, and we can create one more basically entity called Olympic entity, which basically where we can mention like which year we were running it. Like is it 2012 or it is a 2014, like maybe whatever year we have run it, like 2016 and all those things. Every 4 year it has happened. So like that way we can put it down there, right? So let's generate our data services and can basically utilize that way. So over here, if I show you the example, we have already basically converted those things. I need to basically remap the things I was doing before the session. So here, what we are doing, we were generating first of all the Olympic edition entity. Okay. And the Olympic edition entity will put it out the, we can say what data we were putting there. We were putting like what basically year we have, you can say the Olympic name, where it has happened, the basically how many nation has participated there, all those things, and which year basically we were running it. Means what are the fields we do have there: the name of the Olympic, the participation nation, and then basically the Olympic opening date and closing date. These are the three four things we were putting there. Okay. And then basically we were writing the data inside the data services. So let me first of all create a Olympic edition entity there in my entity in my data services, so that we can have each and everything there, right? So let me go to the entity section, create a new entity here, put it there in the Olympic edition basically as an entity. Once we create it, you can see that as soon as we create over here, we do have one entity being created, Olympics edition, and inside that some couple of default fields already being generated. But now what are the fields we needed extra? We needed basically, the name, the participation nations, and opening date, and their closing date, right? So we can create basically over here name, first of all, right? And name is going to be text site only. We can put it as required, not as a unique value. Maybe name can be differ. So
Gopal, can you please one more time, like where you collected?
Sorry.
And which after, yeah, where you collected again for the create one? Acha, one data field. Okay.
That is basically I'm just currently I'll come again to this part. Don't worry on this activity. Don't worry on this. I'll come to this
Okay.
part again, like how you will get this activity and all those things. I just would like to show you first of all to create the
Okay.
entities. You need to very first you need to create the structure in a data services, right? Then only you can store your data there. So first of all, what
Yep,
we are
yep,
doing, yeah, we are creating an entity structure like the table structure
okay.
we create now in the data services. That only we are doing
Yep,
right
yep.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
required field. Yeah.
correct, correct, correct.
Yep, yep.
So
Yes.
yeah, let me just create the another field basically, which is nothing but this participant nations means this is going to be how many nation has participated. It is a number value. Okay. So let me just create it as participation nations. It is going to be a number, right? It is also required. Then we can say another value is basically a opening date when the you know you can say the Olympic is being started. That is another table we do have. Means field we do have opening date, and it is going to be maybe we can put it as table data type. Sorry, date time data type. So we can put it over here as date time and put it as required as well. Then another field is over here. We do have the another field is basically closing date. These are the field you need to identify, guys. I'm just putting on the basis of our example right now, but if you are working in a different scenarios and all those things, you need to first of all create the structure of your data services. So as we are working in an Olympic data, data to be stored in the data services, so we are basically kind of creating the first of all that structure here, right? So closing date we have store it here. Once we have the data service structure, one entity structure is being created. You can see that if I go to the data section, you can see now it is basically allowing me to store the date, the fields which I have already created, like closing date, the name, the opening date, the participation name. One thing I have did it wrong over here. I have basically put it the closing date as text. It shouldn't be a text. It should be a date time variable. Either I cannot change it. You can see that once I have specified the data type, I can't change it. I need to delete this and then create it again, because that is a you can say disadvantage right now with this data service. As soon as you have created the field and defined the data type of the field, you can't change it back. So let me do that again. Define this, put it required, click on save. Now you can see that everything being populated here as a date time now. The closing date also being come as a date time. So first entity we have created. The second entity I already told you we need to create another entity called country entity. So if I go to the code again, so don't focus on this part of the code right now. Forget about everything. This is not needed. I am going to basically show you once again. Basically, we'll do it one by one by our own. Right now, let's go to the another table called medal table. And in the medal table, basically, if you see over here, we having a one you can say nation result, and this nation result is nothing but it's again a entity, right? And this entity having a this nation result entity having a relationship. It's having a relationship with the you can say one just a second. I'll show you that where is the relationship is being built. So it has sorry. So very first, it has basically what are the fields we needed there. We needed the nation result. Basically, we will going to create anyhow. Then we needed a country, right? What the country is basically. Then the gold, what type of basically medal it has, like gold, silver, and then basically we can say bronze. And after that, total how many medal it had they have won that country, and the addition basically which addition that is, right? That the addition we are getting from where we are basically we can say total what we are doing, we are adding that, and this addition value we are getting from Olympic addition, right? Means that over here if you see this addition having a relationship between the Olympic table, right? This is another field addition which having a relationship between the nation result. So we'll create one entity called nation result, and this nation result entity having a relationship with the Olympic table, right? So let's create that first. Then only you will get it. So let me create a new entity over here called nation result and click on create. Once I create, I can specify the again the field. So very first the field is country, right? Let me put the country over here. Then what type of basically medal they have won? They can won the gold, right? Then oh sorry, I was creating a entity over here. It shouldn't be entry. Just a second. It should be a field of that nation result basically. Nation result having a field called first of all country. Country as a field. Which country it is, right? Now another field called gold. What type of basically medal they have won? Gold they have won, but how much they have won? We will show them. It's a number, right? Then we can say silver, right? Silver medal. And what the number of that? That is also you can put over here. Then again you can put over here bronze, right? And you can put it over here number again. So bronze, how much bronze they have won. Then you can put over here again a called number total basically how much total they have they got, right? So that you can basically put as a field. Then now you would like to create an edition. Which Olympic edition it is? Means it is belongs to which year, which basically we were referring it. This Olympic is this medal detail of this country is belongs to which Olympic edition, right? So that you can create it over here as a edition as well. And this addition is going to be a, you can say, relationship type of field. And now this relationship is with which basically entity is going to be a Olympic addition, right? And over here we can say that what field we are going to use. So you can see that what field we are using there. If I show you the addition result, what we are using over here, we are using a in underscore Olympic addition basically. Entirely we have given that. Means the, you can say, the host country anyway we are going to specify that. That is a different part. But the thing is over here, we can specify what Olympic edition is. So we can put it over here, name. So that is basically a Paris Olympic or maybe some other Olympic edition, right? So that the name we can specify here, right? That field basically, related field. So now we can basically put this way, and now you can see that once we have created that, you can see it basically all of the field type you will get it over here, and one of the field is having a relationship type of field. Now the entity structure has been created already. What the next step? The next step is that we need to basically convert our solution, whatever solution currently we are using, after basically getting the Olympic information, this information we can store it inside. Instead of storing this variable, we can store it inside the data services, right? How we will do that? Let's do that. So very first guys, we need to basically to store the data inside the data service. What we need to do? Very first we need to store a activity called UiPath data services activity. Okay, so go to the manage packages, and in the all packages, search over here UiPath dot data service, right? You need to install this package. Once you install this NuGet package, you have the activities being present, which allow you to query the data to the data service, create the records in the data service, update the records in the data service, or delete the records in the data service, right? Those are the things you can do. So now if I go over here in the activity section, you can see that if I search data services, so you can see we do have batch, basically create multiple entity record, delete multiple entity record, update multiple entity record, or entity record means creating a one entity record or deleting one entity record, or get one entity record means single record to get it, or multiple batch record to get it. They have provided each and everything. If we would like to basically delete or upload a file, they have provided those activity as well, right? So what is our ask now? As we got the data, you already know what we are getting till so far here. Let me show you again this part. So if I run this, so if I run this part right now, this is providing me the detail, right? It is basically the 2012 Summer Olympics, This means addition of Summer Olympics, right? 2012 Summer Olympics. What the year basically? Year is 2012. Summer Olympics is the addition. And then basically, when it has started on 12 August 2012. And it has closed basically, you just need to post the country closing date. Closing date they have provided. Starting date you can put whatever basically you wanted to, right? And then each country in the top 10 has won basically. We would like to fetch those medals of the country who has won the top 10, right? Top 10 countries basically. So let's do these things. Let me just stop it right now. Now very first we would like to store this data. So inside this get Olympic information, we can put over here, we already have the Olympic date and closing date. So Olympic start date is 27 July and Olympic closing date is 12 August. And now we would like to basically store our data inside the data service, right? So what we can do, we can create entity record, right? One entity record, we can create it. You can have this basically, you can see that this is basically providing me a mechanism over here that if I go over here now, once you install the activities, so what you need to do again, that there is one more step over here. You need to select the which are all the entities you would like to basically interact uh, in your studio, right? So if you go in the over here, you do have a data services section as well. Let me see just a second. Properties, object repository, autopilot, test explorer. Yeah, inside the data manager, if you see that you do have an entity section here, and currently it's saying that you don't have any entities being present. Why? Because I believe I am not basically being connected to the my default you can say the you can say the tenant, but somehow basically if you face some situations, first of all try to refresh that. So currently I have refreshed this. You can see that I got the entity, all the entity being present over here, whatever I have created there in the data manager section. You can find there. And also there is one more option over here in the manage entity section over here in the top. So once you click on this manage entity, you need to choose that what are the entities you are dealing with in your project. I don't want this test entity and system user entity. I just click on this nation result and Olympic edition. As soon as guys, I'm going to basically enable these entity in my code. I am having these entity as a variable in my code. Basically, I can utilize as a variable type in my code. Okay. So currently you can see that it is showing me all the field basically what it has, right? 11 field it is presenting me that it has 11 fields. Olympic edition has 9 field, 0 record being present there. All of the details it can provide you over here. You can basically click on save. As soon as you click on save, it will generate one folder for you, dot entities folder, that you don't need to do anything, just basically as an understanding purpose I'm just telling you. Okay. Yeah, anyway, it is basically sometime gives an error. We don't need to worry about that part. We just need to close it. And why this UiPath is sometime did the behavior like this. Okay, no worries. Let's go inside this activity and let's go below. And here basically we need to select our entity now. In the create entity record, very first we need to select what entity we would like to create a record, right? So we need to create an entity record in the nation result, right? Now, instead of basically not in the nation result, sorry, my bad, is not in the nation result. We need to create inside the Olympic. Just let me put it below basically because we do have the variable already being created here. So let me just change this and create a variable called Olympic edition, right? Now, guys, we don't want it. One thing we can do basically create an entity record like this. Each and every variable basically we can, provide it here itself. Like, because we have marked it as add this closing date, opening date as mandatory. That is why these only field being populated here. Either we can do like, we can go back to the Olympic edition, our entity. Okay, select that and put everything as required, like whatever field you have created, so that it being auto populated there. Just a second. Yeah. So just a second. Okay. All right. So very first, what we are doing, we would like to see what we're going to do very first before creating a data to the data service. We would like to query that whether we do have the data is already being present or not. If the data is already being present, it doesn't matter, right, to create it back again. So let's first of all query the data there in the data service. How we query? There is a basically activity being present in the data service section. If you select the data service, you have the, I don't know why my UiPath is behaving very bad right now. You can see that I can't see the activities also here. Yeah, nothing being populated here. See, activity section is very blank. Anyway, so query entity record, what it does for us, it basically try to query the data in the data service and try to find out whether that particular, you can say, where, particular data is being, related data is being present in the data service or not. So let's search that. So let me just open a query editor over here, and instead of closing date, or maybe we can say, starting date or closing date, we can put it, or like maybe by the name as well, we can say, right? So let's search over here, maybe the Olympic name, right? The field called Olympic name. See, now still it's behaving. Just a second, guys. I'll reopen it. Somehow it is not working properly. Sometimes this UiPath behave very weird here. Oh, sorry. All right. So we were here, right? In the Get Olympic. So we have basically, we were querying the data in the data services. So let's put our query. Let's open it. And instead of closing date, not by the closing date, I would like to by the name itself, right? Search it by the name. If the name is equal to what the data we have already extracted, Olympic name. And we can query also, means we can put multiple query over here. Like we can say put uh, another basically add entry, and basically if you would like to end or whatever way basically you will combine your query, you can do that, like and opening date is equal to this, the date basically which you have, the variable basically which you have, right? So you can put it here, open expression editor, and you can put Olympic start date, opening date, right? That basically is, you can put it here anyhow. It's needed a date time offset. Let's not go with that. Just remove it and search it by the name itself, right? So once we basically get the data, it will provide us in a, you can see that it is providing us total records and output records as well as the data, right? So what we're gonna do, we can basically put a total records only, entity total records, right? How many total records we do have, and let's put a condition at the below. If total records, or you can say entity total records is less than 0, then basically, or less than or equal to 0, then you will going to create the entry in the RM. Sorry, guys. So yeah, we would like to create an entity now. Let's create an entity, because if we won't find any data, we would like to create an entity record, right? So to create an entity record, if you see that as soon as I basically select the Olympic editions, you can see it will basically provide me all the entities which are being there. Means as a field, I do have there the name, the opening date, the closing date, right? These are the basically field which we have created there. And then in the basically, values what we are going to provide this, we have to create like this way. If matching record is less than, like we have already done, now what we are doing, we basically need to provide this data there, right? So we can create like this. Instead of this name and all those things what we have stored here as a value variable now, we can store it as a field value of the entity. So like whatever we are getting, let me show you that. Just a second, I'll show you that. So here I'm saying, instead of storing this as a variable field, I can store this as a entity. Olympic editions dot, or I need to create a Olympic edition, I believe. Very first I need to create a variable of Olympic edition, then only I will be able to do that. Because I need to create an instance of the data service, right? I cannot basically directly utilize that. Are you guys following me, or is there some confusion right now? So currently, if you see that, we very first what we are doing, we are creating a variable instantiation. Our entity we are initializing very first. So at the top, if you see right now, this part, what we are going to do, we are going to basically saying that this is our new Olympic edition, means we are creating this Olympic edition as a variable. Okay. So this one, if I create it and if I go to the variable now, in the Olympic edition, instead of string, I can search my variable type as Olympic, basically what I have created. See this Olympic manager, it is come by itself, and over here I do have a Olympic edition as a data type. Got it? This one you got it or not? We can basically have an entity as a data type.
Yes.
Right? Now I can basically, what I can do, instead of creating these many variables, see, I was basically having an Olympic name, nation, opening date, each and everything I have created as a variable over here. You can see that I have, how many variable I do have right now? 4 or 5 variable, right? So instead of basically having these variable, I can store directly. If you guys are familiar with the class object, basically you will utilize that feature over here. So right now we can create an entity. We have created an entity object, and now that object basically we can initialize the value, right? How we can do that? So we have created a variable called out Olympic edition, right? So this basically we can utilize here. So let me put out Olympic editions dot. If I do the dot, you can see that all the properties being come by itself. Now I can say that name is here. Okay, name is there. Then nation, what nation it is, right? I can put dot nation is not there. Let me put it there. Meanwhile, let's let's put it as nation only for a time being. We do have a opening date, right? But date is basically going to have a date time variable, right? It's not, we can't store it as a textual format there. We have created as a you can say in a date time format. Either we can change it as a string form, or we can basically convert, have it in a date time format. So let's make it that way. Let's do one thing. We create one more field over here. First of all, nation. Okay, which nation it is, basically that will provide us. And then one more thing we can do is, instead of this opening date as a date time, we can have it as a textual format, right? So what we can need to do, again, we need to delete it, create new field, opening date, and put it as a date, as a text format right now, because otherwise we need to do so many things. We need to typecast and then basically upload it there. I don't want it to go that situation. Let's put it that way so that we can see first of all the basic understanding. So as we are done with this part, let's refresh the first of all our things over here, so that our Olympic edition is also get refreshed. Now instead of nation here, you can see if I basically do a out Olympic editions dot nation, if I would say, okay, I need to again go to this manage entity section. Haha. Okay, let's save this. Anytime these are the, they are so currently you can say some disadvantages also. Basically it's not auto update. Whenever we update something in the data services at the field level or at the entity level, it won't update by itself. We need to update it back. So do that again. If I will just try to search over here, yeah, nation is there now. That's great. Then basically instead of this out opening date, now we can do out Olympic edition dot opening date, right? What the opening date is, then again the closing date, right? Dot closing date. So you can see this, basically what we did, instead of having these all the variable, now I can remove this variable. I don't need those variable. Basically at last, if you see, we don't needed those variable anyhow. Currently we are storing the value. We needed those as we have stored the value in the variable. But if we having a entity as a data type, then we can directly store it as a field object, right? Object property. Basically this is my object and this is my property, so that I can store directly. I don't need it to store it that way. So currently over here I can provide my you can say Olympic edition, out Olympic edition dot name, right? I can initialize this way now, out Olympic edition dot closing date, right? Then again out Olympic edition dot opening date. This way I am basically giving the all the value here. I can add a field over here, nation as well, because I need that. Currently nation was missing. I can basically put not output records, out Olympic edition dot nations, right? So currently if you see that what we did, we have somehow added each and everything over here directly by the you can say one or more field is required. What is we have missed? Okay, participating nations, basically that is again a or I think we have already been created these things. Let me put again this one also there. Olympic editions dot This one we don't need it there. Currently, this one we don't need it there because nation we need it. Just let me remove it. Just a second, guys. Let me go to the UiPath back again. Again, I need to basically refresh it so that it will present in my you can say in the code, right? You need to save it back so that it will show the back again the updated entity fields and all those things in your code. Yeah, if you go down now, so I will just basically see over here everything looks good. Now we are good with that. So you can see that now what we did, we basically created an entity, right? We were first of all query the entity record, and then after querying the entity record, we basically have converted, right? We have converted that to the you can say yeah. So we have converted that to uh, the records what we got, and then after if we are getting that, if we having a record is count is greater than 0 or equal to 0, it is there means no record being found, then we are basically creating a record there. Otherwise we are basically not creating a record. So the over here what we can do, either we can create a like this create entity record. First thing is this, right? There is one more activity over here we do have called batch create. So if you see, like if you go to the data services, if you search it, you can have a create multiple entity record and create multiple entity record. If you put it down over here and just put like Olympic editions, you just need to provide over here the input records, and the input records is nothing the type of your entity only in a collection. Okay, in a list of collection basically. Got it? So this way also you can put the value there. And the thing is that over here also, if you would like to not give one by one, I'll see that there is, I think, activity they haven't provided. I think previously they have the provided this activity as well. Like you can directly provide the entity object, and so that it can basically refer that one itself by itself. Anyway, we don't need it this one. And now yeah, if we found that, let's suppose if you already found that, what we're gonna do, we're not going to create that again inside the else block. We will basically have this Olympic matching addition, basically whatever we got, right? We got from the query. So create a output records over here, right? This output records which we can utilize over here and say that, right? This output record, we are saying that we would like to get the first record of that output. Means this dot first is nothing but, let's suppose you have 3 records being present in a entity. Now what are we going to do? We were saying like we would need only first record of that table. So we will utilize this dot first property so that it will give us the very first record of that, because we needed that only one record of that, right? So that is why we are doing this. Right now we have created this part, the nation and all those things. Let's do one thing over here. Currently the nation which we have created here, it's basically in a number, it should be in a number format. Anyway, it is not. It should be in a number format. But till so far, basically, we have already seen. So let's run this and see that whether it is working or not for us, right? So let me just close everything here. And for a time being, I'll show you this only. Yeah. So if I debug it, So very first it will ask me what the year you would like to basically, get. I would say maybe 2012. Maybe you can give other as well. For a testing purpose, let's give that one. Now it's saying that it has these many record being present there. It got the message, right? But if I go to my entity now, Olympic entity, and refresh it and go to the data section, currently there is no data being created. Why we need to check? Let me go back to my code. Okay. Now the Olympic editions, yeah, we got the data. We have create the entity record, right? Maybe it is in a running mode right now. That is why. Yeah. So you can see that the data being present over here. The name is what? 2012 Summer Olympics. Then basically the nation is it has put 2012 sorry 2004 two including two IO teams. Basically it has included over here, which is not correct. Anyway, we need to change this nation part over here right now. Opening date it has put like this 27 July. Closing date is this, and these are the default field which we haven't given. Only the data which we are giving name, nation, and opening date and closing date, which we got over here, right? Anyhow, the data is nation in the nation. Basically, the data is not correct, but somehow the data being present over here. So this is the way basically, guys, to store the data in the. Or first of all, how basically we have seen two things: how you query the data. Once you query the data, you will get a records, and we query the data on the basis of fields, basically on the basis of logical properties. Like if you would like to query one more thing, you can add your logical operator over here, and or, and then you can combine your query so that it will basically compare that data being present there or not, right? So that is the one thing. Let me just reframe it little bit more. Over here we need to do one more thing. We need to do parsing over here on the nation. Okay, let me just put dot toString over here so that I think we are getting so many things in the nation. If you do the parsing, then it will fail, because currently we are getting not only the nation, but we are getting the text as well. We need to do either type, string manipulation, or we need to do the regex operation there to get the particular nation, how many nation has participated. If you see that it has given us 204 plus 2, including two IOA teams, means something is there. So I don't want it to basically change it from the text to something else. It will fail otherwise if I convert it into the decimal. So far, so everyone is understood like what we have done, how basically we have done.
Yes, I do.
Okay, now let's see that the get medal table as well. In the get medal table, what we're gonna do, once we get extracted the data, we would like to basically populate the data in the nation table, because we're having a nation entity over here, right? Nation result entity, and in the nation result entity we do have a relationship with the Olympic edition, right? But other details are already being present over here, which we are getting from the this medal outcome, that the table extraction, basically what we have done. I already shown to you that, right? This part I already shown to you. Like this is the basically data which we would like to populate there. So let's do that quickly. Let me just go to the medal section, and here basically what we're going to do. Very first, we're going to create a nation result, collection of the nation result. Let me tell you why we are doing that. So as I told you, we having a batch activity, right? Here, data services, we do have a create multiple entity record. If you go to the create multiple record as batch, let me select the nation result over here. You can see that what it needed. It needed a collection of nation result. So if we are getting a collection of output, if I would like to create multiple record at a time, I need to create the collection of nation result type, and then only I can populate the data there, right? So let's do that. That is why we were creating very first this variable, this one. Let me do that. Let me show you that. Then basically we'll talk on this. So over here, I'll create a variable called out nation result. And this out nation result is not, it's a type of sorry, I muted myself. It's a collection type of data. Okay. And over here in the collection, basically system collection, you can go down. Yeah. And here you can select your variable called nation. Nation you can search, so you will get a your data entity over here. So you have created a collection of data nation result, right? So we are having basically this type of variable here. So we have created a collection type of nation result. Once we got that data, now what we're gonna do, we going to basically have whatever we are getting this extracted data table, we're going to loop it that, right? Why we are looping? Because we would like to store that data inside this collection first of all. So let's loop it this data, the DT, I think it's out medal table. Yeah. And inside this, how we can store? We can store first of all in a assign variable, and that assign variable we will basically store it in the collection. So let's copy each and everything over here so that I'll not waste the time right now with the code. Yeah. So you can see that I have just basically created a new nation result. The nation result is nothing but my entity, right? I have created the same way what we have done there that time. So let me just create this nation result, basically the variable over here. And once I have the variable, I'll change this variable type as nation result type, the entity as nation result, right? Now I have the nation result object. So what I'm doing, I'm just basically populating the value over here. Row 1 is nothing but this. Let me open the data as well for you guys. So currently we are trying to store what? Very first, NOC total means how many countries has participated, the name of the country. So very first, if you see over here, what we are giving? The name, the country, right? So that is why the one. Then the gold, how many gold we got? So gold, we are basically converting the value what we have found in the, you can say, decimal, sorry, what we found in the table as a gold column. This value we are converting into the decimal and then storing in the our data service entity. So let's change that. Let me do this dot to string again. Just a second, guys. Someone is in the door. Yeah. So currently, why it's giving the issue? Because the gold type is basically right now what we are trying to store. It's our type of data is what? We have given, I think, number type of format, right? Not this one. There we have given what type of this? This is a decimal, gold as decimal, right? Then this one is not to be a row. This will be the current row, right? And here also this shouldn't be a row. This should be a current row. Just a second. Yeah. Similarly, here as well, we don't need to provide the row over here. We need to provide the current row. Here as well, for bronze, we need to provide the current row. I hope you guys are hoping like why I am providing over here current row, because this is the looping variable for me, right? And then after getting this, see, bronze, we got the total we have provided over here. How we are basically adding all the values, bronze, silver, gold values we are adding over here. Then we are having a addition, and how we are providing the addition, we need to provide the in underscore Olympic addition over here. So currently if you see that we don't have any argument over here in underscore in Olympic addition. Pick, and this is my another entity, right, which I will got the previous basically as an output argument. This will my in, and over here I'll say Olympic, and this will become over here as a variable type now. So instead of having this, I'll change this to in Olympic addition. Save it, and then basically you are now the host country, you don't need it. I don't have any variable of host country. Let's remove this, the host country one, right? We are good with this. Now everything is looks good. Now what we want to do, we wanted to basically, you can say store it in the collection. So there is an activity called add to collection activity. So this activity you need to basically store whatever the data type you have. If you would like to store it in a collection, so you can store it. So currently the collection is what we have created in the above, the out nation result, right? This is my collection. Here we have created, you can see that the out nation result. And what item you would like to store? We would like to restore the nation result. And what is the type of the argument? It's going to be a nation result. So everything looks good now. We are good with that. Where is that error? Somewhere I believe we have still missed something. Multiple assign has the following error: cannot assign a type string to type string type system nullable one. Where we were doing that? Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. All right. So we are good with that as we have store in the collection. Now, once we have store in the collection, we can do a bulk upload, basically bulk create. So let me do this bulk add queue, not basically batch update. I think batch create multiple queue item. So here you need to specify your, the entity, currently this nation result, and the input record is what? The input record is basically a type of out underscore nation result. This is your input record. That's it. You just need to upload the data there. Nothing basically more fancy over here. Now, do one thing also over here. We needed a Olympic addition as a input argument outside, right? So let's basically get a output of this Olympic addition. Yeah, and this will be my out argument. Okay, because I need this for my further processing of my entity result medal. Basically, I would like to populate, right? So there I need to have it. Let me create this Olympic whatever it is, guys. Don't basically mind on right now the spelling wise. I'm just giving why my variable is not coming here. Oh, just a second. Let me go to the variable and change this. Okay. All right, now we are good. Everything is there in the place. Let's run our solution now. And this time you guys will see, because we do have already the entry being created over here in the Olympic edition, we will not create it again. Because this 2020 Summer Olympics is already being created, it will find the data, so it will not create there. Okay. So let's debug it and see that how it's working one by one. Okay, it's asking us to provide the, I think 2012 and then after 2016, right? Guys, can you confirm? After the 2012, I think 4 years, right? The Olympics.
No sure, Gopal.
Okay, let it
Maybe
be then
4 years.
2012 anyway.
Yeah. 2012.
Yeah. Okay. This time, if you see that, if I go inside the workflow, if I scroll it down, you can see that I got the data. Entity records, I found something. So that is why it hasn't created this time. It will went to the directly whatever the data record it has found over here. It has put it over that output it has provided me directly in this variable out Olympic edition, and this is nothing but the output record dot first, means whatever we got, we were getting that as first record of that. Right now, click on OK and see that it has basically started extracting the data. It has got the data. Let's click on OK. Currently, it has get failed. It's saying that decimal parts current row gold dot toString is nation result dot gold. Multiple cannot assign. Why? Just a second. Current row gold is there or not? First of all, action has been thrown by target invocation. Why? Output meta tables dot columns dot, or maybe just columns. I would like to see data columns rank total. Okay, it's not separate gold. It's something like this is coming as a header. See, gold 303, silver 304, bronze
Yes,
3.
it's Gopal. I think entire name we have to give to the.
That basically we need to give there.
Yep,
It's not
yep.
currently. It's not coming like this way. Anyway, let put it. But this is not a correct way, right? It shouldn't be. It should basically provide us the. Earlier it was providing us this way, right? Olympic data.
But the
Okay.
data is right now on the same way, na, like silver
Currently we having a the column are getting like this way, guys.
Yeah.
Not a correct, but I suggest you not go with this way. If you are getting like this, always try to go with the column index. So let me put a column index here, 1, 2, and third column, right? So let's go with the column index, not with this. It's not correct way to put like this. Then
That will be good, yeah.
it's a fourth column, right?
Yep. So,
Yeah. And then maybe bronze is basically a fifth column. Sudden, you are following, right?
Yes, I'm following.
Okay, great then. Let me stop this part, rerun it again. Let's see whether it will work this time or not. Yeah, let's put this 2012 here. Click on OK. Let's click on OK. Yeah, everything runs good. Means there is no error being found over here now. Let me go to the entity section. If I go to the nation result now, if I go to the data, you can see that all the data being found over here, all the countries, and then their gold, their silver, their bronze, their total, and the addition basically also has a, you can see that this value we are not getting from the data side, the medal side, we are getting this from here, the entity part, the Olympic edition basically, which we have over here. This Olympic edition is 2012 Summer Olympics. So that is why we have make it as a relationship over here. And this data now can be utilized in your another code, another piece of code as a input data, or can be utilized in another processes. Got it? Yes or no, or any confusion here now, because we are in the end of the session.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. All right, then I think I'm good with the today's session. If you guys have any questions,